The ultimatum. The orbital command deck of the EDC Vigilance fell silent as Admiral Evelyn Chen strode purposefully through its sliding doors. Her steps were measured and calm, belying the gravity of what awaited Earth in the coming hours. The holographic displays cast a cool blue light across her weathered face, highlighting the small scar that ran from her left temple to her jawline, a memento from the Mars colony crisis 15 years prior. "Status report," she commanded, her voice cutting through the nervous tension like a precision blade. Commander Raju Patel straightened at his station. "The Vexari diplomatic vessel has cleared the lunar perimeter, Admiral. High Commander Krell has requested immediate audience at Geneva base. Their transmission carries priority clearance from the Galactic Coalition." Chen's expression didn't change, but those who knew her well caught the slight tightening of her jaw. The Vexari Empire had spent decades expanding through neighboring systems, always with the same pattern: diplomatic overtures, resource treaties, then gradual annexation. Earth had watched from a distance, building strength while the Vexari dismissed humanity as an emerging species barely worth their attention. "Inform Geneva I'll be present for the reception. Meanwhile, transmit diplomatic protocols only. No military capabilities, no defense grid status." Chen moved to the central command table, activating a private channel with a subtle gesture across its surface, and initiate Echo Protocol. "Authorization, Chen 7 Delta 9. Patel's eyes widened momentarily before he regained his composure. "Echo Protocol confirmed, Admiral." 7 Delta 9 acknowledged. As the crew bustled around her with renewed purpose, Chen studied the approaching Vexari vessel. Unlike human ships, which balanced function with form, the alien craft resembled a predatory sea creature, all sleek angles and menacing protrusions that served no apparent purpose beyond intimidation. The Vexari understood psychological warfare as intimately as physical combat. "They think we're afraid," she murmured, more to herself than anyone else. "Good." The Geneva reception chamber had been designed to impress, with its soaring transparent dome offering an uninterrupted view of the Alps and the ancient city below. Today, however, it seemed small in the presence of the Vexari delegation. High Commander Krell towered over the human representatives, his exoskeletal frame nearly 3 meters tall, segmented armor gleaming under Earth's natural sunlight. His 4 primary eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern across his facial plate, fixed on Admiral Chen as she entered. The vertical slit pupils contracted slightly, the only indication of his interest. "Admiral Chen." Krell's voice emerged through his translator with deliberate precision. "Your species' accomplishments continue to surprise the Galactic Coalition. Few achieve solar system colonization within a mere century of discovering atomic energy." Chen bowed exactly 15 degrees, the precise amount of respect due to a visiting dignitary, not a centimeter more. "High Commander Krell, the people of Earth welcome the Vexari delegation. We're honored by your personal attention to our humble system." Behind her, Earth's diplomatic team maintained perfect composure. None betrayed the fact that during this ceremonial greeting, Echo Protocol was activating defense systems across the solar system. "I come bearing an opportunity," Krell announced, gesturing with a clawed upper limb. A holographic display materialized between them, showing Earth and its colonies in remarkable detail. Too much detail. "The Vexari Empire recognizes Earth's potential. Your species has demonstrated aptitude. The Coalition has authorized me to offer Earth-protected status." A murmur rippled through the human dignitaries. Chen remained motionless. "Protected status," she repeated slowly. "You'll forgive my ignorance of Coalition terminology, High Commander. What precisely does protected status entail?" Krell's mandibles clicked once, the Vexari equivalent of a smile. "Earth would benefit from Vexari oversight. Your military development would be restricted to internal security forces. Resource allocation, particularly your water reserves and rare minerals, would be administered by Coalition representatives to ensure equitable distribution throughout nearby systems. Your technology would advance under careful guidance. He paused. In exchange, Earth receives coalition protection. Many species would envy such an arrangement. The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees. Chen maintained her diplomatic posture, even as her mind calculated the implications. This wasn't an offer. It was the opening move in a subjugation. And if Earth prefers to maintain its independence? She asked. Krell's secondary eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of amusement. Independence is an illusion, Admiral. The cosmos operates on hierarchy. Those who understand their place prosper, those who resist. His armored shoulders lifted in what approximated a shrug. They eventually understand, though often at great cost. Chen nodded thoughtfully, as if considering his wisdom. Earth appreciates the Coalition's generous offer. Our council will require 14 Earth days to deliberate. You misunderstand, Krell replied, his tone hardening. This is not a negotiation requiring deliberation. The Coalition has already determined Earth's status. I am merely informing you of the implementation timeline. Vexari administrative ships will begin arriving in 72 hours. In the tense silence that followed, Admiral Chen smiled. Not the practiced diplomatic smile of international politics, but the cold, knowing smile of someone who had anticipated this moment for years. High Commander, she said quietly, I believe it is you who misunderstands. Earth is not seeking admission to your coalition. We are not requesting protection. We are informing you that we will remain sovereign. Krell's posture shifted subtly, aggression bleeding through his diplomatic veneer. Then you choose conflict. The Vexari Empire has encountered such pride before. It ends predictably. Does it? Chen asked. I wonder. Beneath the Antarctic ice shelf, 20 kilometers below the research stations charted on official maps, the heart of Echo Protocol pulsed with quiet energy. Dr. Layla Zakaria monitored the quantum equations flowing across her screens, each formula representing a defense concept that, until recently, had existed only in theoretical physics. Quantum mirror status. Admiral Chen's voice came through the secure channel, crisp despite the kilometers of ice and rock separating them. 97% alignment. Admiral, Zakaria responded. The entanglement web has stabilized across all nodes from Mercury to the Kuiper Belt. We're still calibrating the Jupiter array, but it's within operational parameters. The Vexari have given us 72 hours before their administrative fleet arrives. In reality, we should expect combat vessels within 48. They're scanning our system now. Zakaria nodded, though Chen couldn't see her. Let them scan. The mirror exists outside conventional detection parameters. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. A planet with standard orbital defenses, nothing more. On her monitor, the quantum web continued its silent deployment. Unlike traditional shields or weapons, the quantum mirror operated on principles even many human physicists had difficulty comprehending. It didn't block attacks or return fire. It created a perfect symmetry of energy, redirecting any force back to its origin with mathematical precision. Run one final test, Chen ordered. Target a drone beyond Mars orbit. Use minimal power. Acknowledged. With practiced movements, Zakaria initiated the test sequence. On a separate screen, a small autonomous drone drifted near Deimos, Mars' smaller moon. It emitted a simple laser burst, nothing that would register on Vexari scanners as weapons fire. The beam traveled halfway to Earth before it encountered the invisible quantum field. For a microsecond, nothing happened. Then the beam curved, its trajectory bending in a way that defied conventional physics. It accelerated back along its path, striking the drone with precisely twice the energy it had emitted. The drone disintegrated soundlessly. Test successful, Zakaria reported, her voice steady despite the implications. Mirror response is 100% efficient with 200% energy return. Chen was silent for a moment. And at full deployment, the mathematical models suggest exponential return. A fleet-level assault would reflect back at approximately 50 times the original energy. Zakaria hesitated. Admiral, if they launch a full-scale attack. I know, Chen interrupted. Their home systems would experience the backlash through their command networks. That's why we're giving them every opportunity to reconsider. On the bridge of his command vessel, High Commander Krell reviewed the intelligence reports on Earth's defenses. Nothing exceptional had been detected. Standard orbital platforms, predictable weapons systems, primitive energy shields. The humans appeared to be exactly what coalition intelligence had reported. Technologically capable but militarily inferior. Yet something about Admiral Chen troubled him. He had conquered 17 systems personally, negotiated the surrender of dozens more. He recognized fear, even when it was carefully masked by diplomatic training. Chen had shown no fear, only certainty. Deploy reconnaissance drones, he ordered his subordinate. Full spectrum analysis of their orbital defense grid, and activate the subspace sensors. Search for energy signatures that don't match their visible infrastructure. Commander, his science officer interjected, our initial scans show nothing unusual. The humans appear to be making no preparations beyond standard alert status. Krell's primary eyes narrowed. That itself is unusual. Either they are fools, or they are concealing something. I prefer to assume the latter. The reconnaissance drones launched silently, advanced stealth technology rendering them nearly undetectable to human sensors. They slipped past Earth's outer defense perimeter without triggering alarms, penetrating deep into the orbital security zone. One drone approached the International Space Platform, Earth's largest orbital structure. It scanned the station thoroughly, detecting nothing beyond standard technology. The drone continued its mission, moving toward a smaller satellite that appeared to be nothing more than a communications relay. Without warning, the drone's signal terminated. Contact lost with Reconnaissance Unit 7, reported the science officer. No distress signal, no indication of detection. Krell leaned forward. Location of last transmission. Near what appears to be a simple communications satellite. Unremarkable technology. Send another drone. Different approach vector. The second drone adjusted its course, approaching the seemingly innocent satellite from below rather than above. Its sensors detected nothing unusual until it crossed an invisible threshold 3 kilometers from the satellite. Its signal also terminated instantly. Krell's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. Deploy a combat scout. Weapons hot. The larger vessel accelerated toward Earth, its offensive systems fully activated. Unlike the drones, this ship carried Vexeri crew members and substantial firepower. It approached the same sector cautiously, sensors at maximum sensitivity. Target the satellite, Krell ordered. Low-yield disruptor only. The scout fired a precision beam, designed to disable rather than destroy. The green energy pulse shot toward the small satellite, then inexplicably curved in space. The beam accelerated, its color shifting toward blue as it gained energy, and struck the scout vessel with devastating force. The ship exploded soundlessly, debris scattering across orbit. Krell stood motionless, his exoskeleton creaking slightly as his muscles tensed beneath. What just happened? No one answered immediately. Finally, his science officer spoke. Unknown defense technology, Commander. The energy signature. It appears our own weapon was redirected, but substantially amplified. For the first time in his long military career, Krell felt uncertainty creep into his mind. He dismissed it immediately. The humans had developed some kind of reflective shield. Impressive, but ultimately irrelevant. The Vexeri fleet had encountered similar technologies before and overwhelmed them through sheer firepower. Prepare the battle group, he ordered. We accelerate our timeline. Full invasion force will deploy in 24 hours. As his officers rushed to comply, Krell opened a direct channel to Admiral Chen. Her face appeared on the screen, composed and unsurprised. Your defensive trick is noted, Admiral, he said without preamble. Ingenious, but it will not save you. The full might of the Vexeri Empire will arrive within one planetary rotation. I offer you one final opportunity to accept protected status with minimal penalties for your resistance. Chen studied him for a moment. High Commander Krell, I urge you to reconsider. Earth has no desire for conflict, but we are prepared to defend ourselves. Your scout vessel experienced only a fraction of our defensive capability. Threats do not become you, Admiral. Krell replied dismissively. Your species is young. Young species often mistake cleverness for strength. This is a lesson the Vexari will gladly provide. Chen's expression remained unchanged. This is not a threat, Commander. It is a warning given out of compassion. If you attack Earth, the consequences will extend far beyond this system. Krell terminated the transmission without responding. Humans, like all lesser species, resorted to desperate bluffs when confronted with superior force. Within hours, Earth would understand its proper place in the galactic order, or it would burn. The Silent Strike. Admiral Evelyn Chen stood in the heart of Earth Defense Command, surrounded by holographic displays showing the approaching Vexari fleet. 87 warships had emerged from hyperspace beyond Jupiter's orbit, their formation a predatory arrowhead aimed directly at Earth. Their weapon systems blazed with energy signatures that outmatched anything humanity had publicly displayed. The war room remained calm despite the overwhelming force bearing down on them. Officers moved with practiced efficiency, their voices steady as they reported status updates from the quantum mirror network. Admiral. Commander Patel approached with a secure tablet. The mirror is at full operational capacity. All nodes report green status. He hesitated before adding, We've run the final simulations on full-scale reflection. The mathematical models show that the energy backflow will travel through the Vexari command network. Meaning? Chen prompted, though she already knew the answer. The redirected energy won't just affect the attacking fleet. It will transmit through their quantum communication relays to every connected Vexari installation, including their Homeworld defense grid. Chen nodded grimly. Have we attempted communication with High Commander Krell since their fleet deployed? 3 times, Admiral. No response. She turned back to the main display where the Vexari fleet continued its inexorable approach. In 12 hours, they would be within striking distance of Earth. Humanity had spent generations dreaming of first contact, imagining the peaceful exchange of knowledge and culture. Instead, they faced extinction at the hands of an empire that saw them as nothing more than resources to be harvested. Prepare a narrow-beam transmission directly to Krell's flagship, Chen ordered. One last warning. As the communications officer complied, Dr. Zakaria entered the command center, her normally composed features tight with concern. Admiral, I need to speak with you privately. Chen followed her to a secure alcove away from the main floor. What is it, Doctor? I've been analyzing the quantum entanglement patterns in the Vexari fleet, Zakaria explained, showing Chen a complex diagram on her tablet. Their weapons, their shields, even their propulsion systems, everything is connected through quantum channels to their central command structure. It's far more integrated than we initially believed, meaning the reflection effect would be more severe. Zakaria nodded. If they launch a full-scale assault, the energy reflection won't just disable their fleet. The backflow through their quantum network would overwhelm every connected system in the Vexari Empire. Military installations, orbital platforms, possibly even planetary defense grids. Chen's expression remained carefully neutral, but her eyes betrayed her concern. You're saying we wouldn't just be defending Earth. We'd be striking at the heart of their empire without firing a shot. Precisely. The quantum mirror doesn't distinguish between attack and defense. It simply creates perfect symmetry of force. The greater their attack, the greater the consequence. Chen stared at the display showing the advancing fleet. Can we modulate the mirror? Limit the reflection. Not without sacrificing our own protection, Zakaria replied. The system works on fundamental quantum principles. It's all or nothing. As they returned to the main floor, the communications officer turned to Chen. Admiral, High Commander Krell has responded to our transmission request. The central screen flickered, and Krell's imposing figure appeared. His exoskeletal armor now bore ceremonial markings, the Vexari equivalent of full battle regalia. Admiral Chen, his translated voice carried unmistakable contempt. Your persistence is noted. Have you reconsidered your position? Commander Krell. Chen responded evenly. I'm contacting you one final time to urge you to halt your fleet's advance. Earth has no desire for conflict with the Vexari Empire or the Galactic Coalition. Krell's secondary eyes blinked in rapid sequence. Laughter. Your concern for the Vexari is touching, but unnecessary. In 6 hours, Earth's orbital defenses will be neutralized. In 12, your major cities will acknowledge Vexari authority or face orbital bombardment. This is not negotiation, Admiral. This is inevitability. Chen maintained her composure. Then before you proceed, I am obligated to inform you of the full nature of Earth's defensive capabilities. She gestured to Dr. Zakaria, who transmitted a simplified schematic of the quantum mirror system. This defense network surrounds our entire solar system. It does not absorb or block attacks. It reflects them back to their source with multiplied force. Your scout vessel and reconnaissance drones experienced this on a minimal scale. Krell studied the schematic briefly before dismissing it with a gesture. An impressive theoretical weapon, Admiral. But the Vexari Empire has conquered species with similar defensive claims. Your mirror, if it exists as described, would require energy resources beyond what Earth possesses. The system doesn't require conventional energy, Commander. It operates on quantum entanglement principles discovered by Earth scientists 30 years ago. For just a moment, Krell's confidence wavered. The Vexari Empire had encountered quantum technology before, but primarily as a communication method. Weaponizing it at this scale would represent a significant advancement. A bluff, he decided aloud. One final, desperate attempt to avoid the inevitable. Chen shook her head slowly. Not a bluff, Commander. A warning. If your fleet attacks Earth, the reflected energy will travel through your quantum communication network to every connected Vexari installation. The mathematical models suggest catastrophic damage throughout your empire, including your homeworld. Krell's primary eyes narrowed to slits. You threaten the Vexari homeworld. Such arrogance deserves no mercy. He leaned closer to the transmission pickup. Perhaps I should demonstrate what happens to species who resist the coalition. The transmission terminated abruptly. Chen turned to her officers. They're accelerating. All personnel to defensive stations. Prepare for imminent engagement. On the bridge of the Vexari flagship, High Commander Krell reviewed the final attack formations. His fleet had divided into 3 strike groups. The first would overwhelm Earth's orbital defenses. The second would target military installations across the planet. And the third would remain in reserve to crush any remaining resistance. Commander, his science officer approached hesitantly, regarding the human defense system. You believe their bluff. Krell's tone made it clear what he thought of such gullibility. Not necessarily, Commander. But their warning contains specific quantum field equations that our analysts have confirmed are theoretically sound, if they have indeed deployed such technology. Krell dismissed the concern with an irritated gesture. The humans are clever, yes. They may have developed some form of energy reflection. But no defensive system can withstand the combined firepower of a Vexari battle fleet. We will simply overwhelm it. The science officer bowed in acquiescence, though doubt lingered in his posture. Krell returned his attention to the tactical display. The first wave of his fleet had entered optimal firing range for long-distance bombardment. Right on schedule. Commence the attack, he ordered. All forward batteries, maximum yield. In Earth's Defense Command Center, the atmosphere was one of grim determination as the first wave of Vexari warships moved into attack position. Energy buildup detected in their forward weapons arrays, reported the tactical officer. They're preparing to fire. Admiral Chen stood with her hands clasped behind her back, outwardly calm despite the weight of what was about to happen. Status of the quantum mirror. 100% operational. Admiral, Dr. Zakaria confirmed. The network is fully aligned and stable. Chen nodded once. Let them fire first. The mirror responds automatically. We do not need to activate it manually. On the main display, they watched as brilliant energy beams erupted from the Vexari vessels. Dozens of concentrated plasma streams powerful enough to vaporize cities, all directed at Earth's orbital defenses. For one breathless moment, the beams streaked toward their targets. Then, when they crossed the invisible threshold of the quantum mirror field, something extraordinary happened. The beams slowed, then stopped entirely, hanging in space like frozen lightning. Gradually, they began to curve, their trajectories bending into impossible arcs. Mirror effect initiating, Dr. Zakaria announced, her voice barely above a whisper. Energy reflection at 42 times amplification. The transformed beams accelerated back toward the Vexari fleet, no longer the green-blue of their original weapons, but a blinding white that the command center screens automatically dimmed to protect the observer's eyes. When the reflected energy struck the Vexari vessels, the effect was catastrophic. Ships didn't simply explode. They disintegrated, their molecular bonds shattered by the amplified force of their own weapons. Within seconds, the entire first wave of the attack fleet had been reduced to expanding clouds of superheated particles. In the stunned silence that followed, Commander Patel spoke first. Admiral, the quantum backflow. It's propagating through their network. On auxiliary screens, data streamed in from long-range sensors positioned throughout the solar system. The quantum effect was traveling faster than light through the Vexari communication channels, carrying the destructive energy with it. Show me, Chen ordered quietly. A new holographic display materialized, showing a stellar map of known Vexari territory. One by one, points of light representing military installations began to flicker and dim as the backflow reached them. Orbital platforms, forward bases, supply depots, all experiencing some degree of the catastrophic energy reflection. The Vexari Homeworld, Chen asked. Dr. Zakaria checked her readings. Their planetary defense grid is experiencing cascading failures. No direct damage to civilian infrastructure, but their military capability is being systematically neutralized. Chen closed her eyes briefly. This was victory, but it brought her no joy. Status of the remaining Vexari fleet. They've ceased advancement, reported the tactical officer. Several vessels are powering down weapon systems. Others are initiating emergency jumps away from the system. Open a channel to Commander Krell's flagship, if it's still operational. After a moment, Krell's image appeared on the main screen. His command center was in disarray, emergency lighting casting harsh shadows across his exoskeletal features. For the first time, Chen saw something in his compound eyes that resembled fear. What have you done? He demanded, his translated voice distorted by damaged communication systems. Exactly what we warned you we would do, Chen replied calmly. The quantum mirror defended Earth by reflecting your own attack back at you, and through your quantum network, back to your empire. Krell's massive form seemed to shrink before their eyes. Our homeworld, our defense grid is collapsing. Military installations throughout Vexari space are reporting catastrophic failures. Yet your civilian populations remain unharmed, Chen pointed out. The mirror responded proportionally to your aggression, Commander. Had you launched a planetary bombardment rather than targeting our defenses, the consequences would have been far more severe. Krell stared at her with newfound understanding. You could have destroyed us completely. That was never our intention. Earth seeks to exist peacefully, not to conquer or control. We developed the mirror as a defense of last resort, hoping we would never need it. A long silence followed as Krell processed this information. When he spoke again, his tone had changed fundamentally. The Vexari Empire requests immediate cessation of hostilities. We withdraw our demand for Earth's protected status. Chen nodded solemnly. Earth accepts your request. We will provide humanitarian assistance for any Vexari vessels damaged in Earth space. Additionally, Our scientists are prepared to share techniques for stabilizing your defense grid to prevent further cascading failures. Krell's mandibles clicked rapidly, and what humans had learned was an expression of confusion. You offer aid to an enemy that just attempted to conquer you. We offer aid to a potential future ally who has learned a difficult lesson. Chen corrected him. The galaxy is vast, Commander Krell. There is room for many empires and independent worlds to coexist without domination. 3 months later, Admiral Chen stood in the newly constructed Galactic Embassy in Geneva. Through the transparent dome, she could see stars beginning to appear in the early evening sky, the same stars that now looked quite different to humanity. In the wake of what historians were already calling the Silent Strike, Earth's status in galactic politics had transformed overnight. The Galactic Coalition, once dismissive of humanity as an emerging species, had extended formal recognition and non-aggression treaties. Trade delegations from a dozen alien civilizations had established permanent missions on Earth. Most surprisingly, the Vexari Empire, after recovering from the quantum mirror's devastating effect on their military infrastructure, had proposed a mutual defense pact. Their diplomatic corps now spoke of humanity with a respect that bordered on reverence. "Admiral," a familiar voice called from behind her. Chen turned to see Dr. Zakaria approaching, dressed in formal attire for the evening's diplomatic reception. "The Vexari delegation has arrived. High Commander Krell specifically requested your presence." Chen smiled slightly. How is the commander adjusting to his new role? As well as can be expected, the transition from military leader to chief diplomat was challenging for him. But the Vexari respect strength above all else. After what happened, you may be the only human he truly respects. They walked together toward the main reception hall. "Have you seen the latest modifications to the mirror?" Zakaria asked. Chen nodded. "The graduated response protocols are an improvement. Defense without unnecessary destruction. That was always the goal," Zakaria agreed. "Though I sometimes wonder if we would have developed it at all if we hadn't detected the Vexari expansion pattern 3 years ago." "Necessity drives innovation," Chen replied philosophically. "But principles determine how we use what we create." They paused at the entrance to the Grand Hall, where representatives from 24 species mingled in what would have been an unimaginable scene only months earlier. At the center stood High Commander Krell, his imposing form now adorned with diplomatic rather than military insignia. When he noticed Chen, he inclined his upper body in the formal Vexari gesture of respect between equals, a far cry from the condescension of their first meeting. "It seems Earth has found its place in the galaxy after all," Zakaria observed. Chen watched as human diplomats conversed with alien counterparts, exchanging ideas and building connections that would shape humanity's future among the stars. "Not the place others would have assigned us," she said quietly, "but the place we earned through our own ingenuity." As she stepped forward to greet the Vexari delegation, Chen reflected on how quickly everything had changed. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge not through aggression, but through the clever application of fundamental principles. They had defended themselves without launching a single attack, protected Earth without firing a single shot. In the end, that silent warning had echoed louder across the galaxy than any declaration of war ever could. Earth would never again be underestimated by those who traveled the stars. And perhaps more importantly, humanity had established itself not as conquerors or subjects, but as innovators, a species that could change the rules when the existing game was rigged against them. It was, Chen thought as she exchanged formal greetings with Commander Krell, exactly the reputation they would need for the challenges that still awaited them among the stars.